Hello everyone, my name is Bin. You can call me Chris. Today, I will be presenting on an account of an interview with a special educational needs coordinator about Peter and his symptoms of autism spectrum disorder. Peter is a 14-year-old student diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome and exhibits several symptoms of ASD for his age. He tends to talk at others instead of sharing a two-way conversation, and his responses to others can sometimes seem rude or inappropriate. He assumes that other people know what he knows and becomes frustrated when they do not follow his thoughts or behave as expected. He also takes things literally and misunderstands sarcasm or metaphor. He is unable to interpret non-literal communication such as jokes and interprets other behaviors as purposefully directed at him, even when they are not. He is socially isolated and intolerant of people entering his personal space, preferring to be alone. He has a very low tolerance towards crowds and noise, often leading to anxiety, aggression, and distress in public places. Even in the classroom, Peter can become violent and upset tables, throwing things across the room uncontrollably. Peter also has difficulties in reciprocal social communication and interaction, having few close friends due to his frequent aggression towards his peers, which sometimes causes complications with their reciprocated intentional taunts towards him. He appears uninterested in what other people his age are interested in and has preferences for highly specific interests instead. Some of his skills are poorly developed, while particular areas of knowledge are advanced for his age. Although he has significant difficulties with social interaction and communication, he is a strong learner only in his key areas of interest, which are science, IT, and electronics. He is able to take apart electronic equipment and use the components to construct novel devices. He has also connected the computers at home into a functioning network. Some of these symptoms might be attributable to the theory of mind or mind blindness. The theory of mind involves the understanding that others have their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences that are different from our own. A basic milestone in the development of theory of mind is the awareness that others may have beliefs and understandings that differ from our own. Children typically develop this awareness by the age of 4 to 5 years. However, children with ASD struggle with this as they find difficulties in understanding others' emotions, predicting behaviors and intentions of others, and taking into account what other people may or may not know. As seen in the Senko report, Peter is unable to interpret sarcasm and jokes and assumes that other people know what he knows, and thus responding rudely when they do not follow his thoughts. Similarly, he interprets behaviors as purposefully directed at him. An accidental knock from a peer, if not immediately accompanied by an apology, is interpreted as a purposeful attack. This causes a vengeful outburst from Peter. Aside from the theory of mind, there are other complementing theories of ASD, which include executive dysfunction and the weak central coherence theory. First, executive functioning refers to the ability to process information, examples of which are organizing, planning, and paying attention. Many individuals on the autism spectrum find it difficult to organize their thoughts and integrate information into a form that is useful to them. This is known as executive dysfunction. Individuals with executive dysfunction may be able to notice small details, but find it hard to relate them into a larger picture. This will be further highlighted later in the weak central coherence theory. These individuals also have trouble maintaining their attention, causing problems in daily chores such as washing the dishes. They struggle to meet an unexpected change in routine. For example, not being able to finish a meal if they do not eat from their favorite red plate. They find it difficult to work with others on projects and are easily agitated, not being able to control their impulses towards those around them. Moving on to the weak central coherence theory, it suggests that individuals with ASD struggle to incorporate information at different levels, and as mentioned previously, they fail to integrate detail into global entities. For example, they only see a whole lot of individual trees instead of a forest. They are able to perform better on visual processing tasks that involve detailed information like science and math, but struggle in areas such as reading comprehension and grasping the gist of a story. We can see how Peter's symptoms relate closely not only to the theory of mind, but also to executive dysfunction in the weak central coherence theory as well. Peter's intolerance of people entering his personal space and preference for aloneness highlight his difficulties in social interaction. This is largely contributed by his rigidity in practicing routine and dislike for change that causes him to lash out at others around him. For weak central coherence, Peter's inability to integrate information into different domains can be seen where he is unable to interpret sarcasm and jokes, taking them literally and misunderstanding his peers, further contributing to avoidable conflicts with them. Another clear example of weak central coherence is Peter's exceptionally advanced skill in science, IT, and electronics while facing significant struggles with social interaction and communication. There are several environment factors that help us understand Peter's special educational needs. From the Senko report, Peter has access to computers at home, which he is able to connect into a functioning network. Peter was withdrawn from mainstream nursery due to violent outbursts and placed in an ASD unit attached to a mainstream primary school. There were only choices for special or mainstream schools at secondary transfer. His busy social environment in secondary school increased his anxiety, causing frequent outbursts towards his peers that are sometimes complicated by intentional taunts from them. It is also important to note that professional materials such as behavior plans, social stories, modifications to the classroom environment and curriculum, as well as anger management sessions provided by the NHS have been used in the efforts of regulating and catering to Peter's special educational needs. There are a few recommendations that can be made in order to support Peter's special educational needs. Firstly, teachers should foster effective partnerships with his parents by approaching them from an equal level instead of from a more professional viewpoint to share and combine knowledge about Peter's situation both at school and at home. This enables both parties to brainstorm and come to a consensus on the most effective methods of managing Peter's learning development. It is also important to follow the guides given on Peter's individualized education plan, constantly keeping parents and teachers updated on his learning improvements. In the classroom, teachers should establish a clear routine with Peter by creating a visual timetable describing the transition of activities during his day. This helps give Peter an idea of what will be done throughout the day beforehand, minimizing the exposure of him towards sudden changes which might cause anxiety and impulsive behavior. Communication with Peter should also be concise and direct, avoiding the use of metaphors that might complicate his understanding, leading to misinterpretations of simple instructions. Last but not least, teachers should creatively integrate topics and pictures of Peter's interests and relate them to their lesson content. For example, pictures of robots or a technology theme can be used during lessons to encourage learning engagement for Peter, who has great interest in electronics and science. These practices can help Peter slowly adjust and adapt to his schooling environment, reducing uncertainties and sudden changes, and thus minimizing potential outbursts and emotional instability. This leads to lesser conflict between Peter and his peers, ultimately creating a more welcoming and conducive learning environment for Peter. These are my references, and that will be all for my presentation. Thank you.